I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Opposition Preview. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like, subscribe if you're new, all of that good stuff. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments. And after a poor 2-2 draw against Qarabağ in the week in the Champions League, Chelsea host Wolves before the international break. Bottom of the table, no manager and no win so far this season. But it's a sort of game that Chelsea tend to drop points in. So hopefully that doesn't happen again on Saturday. But I'd like to be joined by Dave from Talking Wolves to chat all things Wolves and look ahead to the game. Mate, how you doing? You good?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
No, pleasure, mate. No problem. I don't know where to start with Wolves. Obviously, lost Mateus Cunha, lost Ait Nouri in the summer. I think, you'll know better than me, the quality of players that came in the summer was nowhere near the level of the ones that left, and you're always going to run the risk of that eventually catching up with you. Vitor Pereira is now gone. We had the crazy Carabao Cup tie the other week, which was a mad game. How would you sum up Wolves' start to the season? It's been 10 games, and yet it feels like sort of 2 seasons worth of stuff's happened at the club. Yeah,
it's been an absolute mess, to be honest, the start of the season. And yeah, like you said, so much going on at the moment. I don't know where to start as well. Yeah, the summer was one. I think we knew that we were going to lose Cunha. That was always a given. I think we gave him a new contract at the start of the year. We all felt that there was going to be some sort of release clause in there. United rumours intensified quite a lot sort of February, March time. And then when things started going against him a little bit, he was taking snipes at fans on Instagram and things like that. And when people bit back, he sort of tried to justify it, but he carried on doing it. We had a bit of a falling out. He bit at a couple of comments that we put out on Instagram as well. But so, yeah, the frustrating thing is he went, Ait Nouri went, both of them went quite early in the window. Nelson Semedo, who was our captain at the time, his contract was up. Wolves put an offer out on the table for him with a ridiculous amount of money. And we were just stringed along until the expiry date, really. We didn't know what was going on. And Wolves didn't really actively look for a new right back. I don't know whether they always thought that maybe he was going to sign on, but we just weren't proactive enough in terms of purchases in the summer. We signed some players. Vitor Pereira put a lot of pressure on the club to try and get those signings in earlier. But again, it depends on the party you speak to. The people at the higher ups at the club, like the chairman, put a lot of responsibility on Vitor Pereira. And in interviews he made out, you could sort of tell he was pushing all the blame onto Pereira, basically saying if it doesn't work out, it's his fault. Whereas Pereira was putting a lot of pressure on the club for the slow start. And yeah, results just haven't been good. But sometimes you can forgive it a little bit more if performances are good. Like you can see, there's a vision there that, you can see the results turning, but the performances have been so bad so far this season. You look at some of the home games we've played: Everton, Leeds, Burnley, lost all 3 of those. We lost to Sunderland away. We lost already to the 3 boys that have come up, which is a huge concern. And then again, the level of performance. I mean, the game against you guys was an interesting one. He shook that team up. I don't think he needed to rotate as much as he did. If he went with a stronger team against you, we may have had a chance to qualify for the next round. But you were there, weren't you? You saw how badly we started. And then then we played Fulham on Saturday, and it was a disaster. So there was so much pressure on him going into Saturday anyway. And then he dropped João Gomes and Andre, who are probably 2 of our best players, both Brazilian or have been Brazilian internationals. It was a massive risk to drop both of them. I think you could probably justify maybe dropping one of them, but to drop both of them and then get smashed and in the way that we did, we showed absolutely nothing on Saturday and he had to go. The frustrating thing for Wolves is there's obviously no succession plan. Sunday morning we had the news that he was going. By about Sunday lunchtime there was news about Gary O'Neill, which I just couldn't believe, bearing in mind we sacked him 11 months ago. By Monday night, due to the pressure of the fans, Gary withdrew from the talks. And now we're talking on Thursday evening and we still have no one in place. It looks like we're getting a little bit closer to someone, but it's just screamed. The club at the moment, from top to bottom, is an absolute mess. And it's unfortunately, it's the guys at the top just do not have a clue what they're doing. So we've gambled it many, many times. You can see the position that we're in now. We were in a similar position last year. And thankfully, we picked up the results at the right time and Vitor Pereira came in and turned it around. But at the moment, it looks like Wolves are only going one way, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it does, mate. I mean, you touched on it. Vitor Pereira kind of had to go. I think when you you're spot on. When like, obviously last season, I think might not have been 10 games no win, but it was certainly maybe 8, 9.
It was 10 games, yeah.
Well,
No win, yeah.
it's exactly the same start to the season.
We drew one extra, so we had 3 points last year, 2 points this year.
So, like, yeah, the manager obviously had to go, and yeah, as you say, you can, if there's light at the end of the tunnel, you can see something in performances, but things aren't quite going right. But the performances aren't there when like nothing looks like changing at all. Then obviously the manager does have to go. You look at the situation with offering a new contract, and then suddenly he's then gone. Little bit strange results at the game in the cup, and it was barely full. It wasn't full at all. There are a lot of chants against the owners, particularly in the first half. And then you see videos of Jose Sarr after one of the games, remonstrating with fans, and there's a lot going on. Obviously, last season you were able to bring in a manager like a Vitor Pereira with kind of a proven track record, and he was able to turn it round. When you look at the names that you're being linked with, it looks like at time of recording it could be someone like Rob Edwards, who's got an affiliation with the club. He's obviously at Middlesbrough, but that's someone with no real Premier League experience or an experience of being able to pull teams out of a dire situation. Would you look at something like that as an appointment that is with the Championship very much in mind, or do you look at it at actually this guy could keep us up? And it's one worth going with? I mean, what direction should Wolves go with? Future planning for someone to stay within them in the Championship if you go down, or someone to come in with a sole focus of staying up?
It's difficult. You want some sort of long-term plan. I think Wolves, even under Vitor Pereira at the start of the season, they were talking about stability. They wanted a level of stability because the sort of turnover in managers that we had. The time those quotes were coming out didn't make any sense, because that's when they gave Vitor his new contract, and it would start the league with 4 defeats. So it didn't make any sense at the time. But I do agree now with that statement that Wolves do need a level of stability. For argument's sake, some of the other names being mentioned, Ten Hag and so on, would he be at the club if we got relegated next season? Of course not. So he's going to go. So I think you're right. With Rob Edwards, there is that level of stability. He's younger, British coach. Yes, he's managed a full season in the Premier League with Luton. And like I said to you off camera, I felt for the quality of squad that he had, they gave it a pretty good go, and they gave teams good games, and he set Luton up quite well. So I'll be very interested. You look at the managers that are linked, there's no one that overexcites me, to be completely honest. Gary O'Neill, the fact that he was favourite for so long was a concern to me, and the fact that Wolves went into advanced talks with him, I can't understand. Rob Edwards has been the only other one. You look abroad, there's not many managers. I don't think many managers will want to take a punt, even like, for argument's sake, someone like Solskjaer or something like that. If he were to come into Wolves, he'd want huge wages, but huge promises that he's going to get backed massively in January, which I still don't know whether that will happen. So I think Rob Edwards, if it comes to fruition, probably for me the safest pair of hands. But like you said, hopefully it gives us a fighting chance. He understands the club. He was at the club for a long time. Hopefully, I like the way he talks. So I think he talks a very good game. But let's wait and see. But I think you do have that longevity that if we go down, he's somebody that could hopefully give us a good chance of bouncing straight back.
George Mendes not got a guy? He's not...
Well, that's why. Yeah, he's normally the one that comes up with it. But there was a couple of names that were mentioned. Again, you look at some. I mean, Vitor Pereira CV was one thing. There was another guy that was linked yesterday, and again, the CV's just got 4 or 5 different clubs in the last few years. Just doesn't read well, to be fair. So. As much as I'd love Uncle George to help out, I don't think this time he can.
Mate, talk to me about this game. Obviously, I don't want to call it a free hit for you, but maybe it is a bit of a free hit. The youth team manager is going to be in charge. It's kind of the start of I don't say new era, but it certainly feels like the start of the season again for you guys. What are you expecting from this game, and how can we expect, as a Chelsea fans, how can we expect Wolves to approach it? Do you reckon the 2 lads in the dugout are going to switch things up massively from how Pereira's been setting up? I mean, talk to me about the approach and how you see this game going.
I'd be very interested to see, in terms of the tactical side of things, what happens. I think we do have some very loud voices in the dressing room. I think that's possibly why Vitor Pereira's time ended as soon as it had as well. I mean, if I was it was James Collins, the under-21s manager, and Richard Walker, the 18s manager, they're going to be taking charge. I said to you before we started, James Collins was in the dugout against you guys a few years ago, just after we sacked Bruno Lage. I think you came out 3-0 winners on the day, if I'm correct. So if I was in their position, I'd speak to the team. I'd have a meeting. So it's like, in your opinion, how do you think, how do we get the best out of you guys? What system do you want to play, and things like that. We've tried a back five, we've tried a back four this year. I think the players tend to enjoy a back four a little bit more. It gives us a little bit more attacking and creative freedom, but we're conceding too many goals, as you saw last Wednesday, for argument's sake, and we're just not creating enough clear-cut opportunities to score enough goals in the league. So I'll be very intrigued. One of the things that we saw, especially under the two youth coaches last time, they gave a lot of opportunities to younger lads that had been knocking on the door in the 21s and weren't given first team opportunities. One player I'm very intrigued to see if he's given an opportunity on Saturday, a young lad, Mateus Mane. We've been playing him in the 21s, doing well, getting goal contributions. But for whatever reason, Vitor Pereira just hasn't had a sniff of first team opportunities. So I really think he may be given an opportunity, not necessarily start on Saturday, but be on the bench. But I think, going back to what you said, I don't think any Wolves fan is going into this game expecting us to get anything out of the match, to be completely honest. I'd love to be, pleasantly surprised. If we could stink out the gaff now and have a 0-0 draw, I'd take it every day of the week. We need something, a little bit of positivity, I think. But what I'm hoping is, if we get a new gaffer in charge, or at least get somebody in charge and they're there at the game on Saturday, is a performance that for players to show the new gaffer, this is, I want to be playing under you. I want to be playing for this football club. And we see everyone play out of their skin. But we need some sort of reaction on Saturday anyway.
Yeah, 100%. But I just wanted to ask you about, because I seen him at the Club World Cup and he was pretty decent. Arias, the winger that he brought in from Fluminense. I mean, how's he done? Is he a potential danger man? Obviously, we know he got Strand last, so we know what he brings, we know what he does. But I mean, how's Arias done? Because he was a player that impressed at the Club World Cup, and there was like, when Wolves signed him, there was kind of like, right, that's a pretty good signing. How's he done?
Yeah, he was in the team of the tournament for the Club World Cup as well. And I remember when we were linked with him, Fluminense fans they couldn't believe it. He's been awful. Genuinely, he's been really, really underwhelming. It's disappointing, to be fair, because there was so much excitement. The difficulty is with players like that, especially as he played in Brazil. He has played non-stop since January. He didn't have any break. Even when we signed him after the Club World Cup, we had to give him like an extra week off. It was in pre-season, so we had to give him an extra week off just to give him a little bit of a rest. He joined us, I think, for our penultimate friendly game, and he scored, came off the bench and scored. But he has really, really struggled so far this year. He's been on the set pieces, on the corners. He can barely beat a first man on the corner. I don't blame him completely for that, because I think that's a team instruction of us trying to get it to the near post and flick it on.
Yeah, that's the same that we do. It's so frustrating.
Just get it in there. Just get it in the box. Yeah. And I'm hoping on the 21s and 18s coaches say that, or they come up with something different. Because I think with what Vitor Pereira did, built us as a very big physical side. We've got a huge number of players, 6 foot plus, and you're trying to flick it into the near post. So I'm hoping we try something different on Saturday and take advantage of that. But yeah, it's frustrating with Arias. I'm hoping that a change in manager or whatever can click him into life. But yeah, it's one of those signings that I don't think there's been any signing really that Vitor Pereira and the club made in the summer that has made a good impression so far, to be honest.
I mean, I think that's where you're probably going to have your best chance of getting success against us, is like we saw in the second half of the game in the Cup. If you're just getting balls in the box, physical battles, that we don't tend to deal with that particularly well. I know against Tottenham it was different. We left 3 men up from long throws and the box was less congested. It allowed Sanchez to have more space to collect the crosses. I mean, we might look to adopt a similar tactic against you guys. Hopefully we've learned our lessons from that second half, where we just got battered and dominated in all aspects, particularly from a defensive standpoint. But I think that's definitely going to be your best chance. I mean, we do struggle. Maresca's openly said it. I don't know if I'm not really sure if I agree with him just openly admitting that basically when we prepare for a team and they play a back four and then they turn up and play a 5, we can't do anything about it. I'm not sure if that's like the best thing to be openly admitting, but if you come with a 5, we probably will struggle to break that down. That might take us, a little bit of time to do, but we should have the quality in this game to get a result that's required. But I mean, from a Chelsea point of view, I mean, do you got any players you're kind of worried about? Obviously, there's no Cole Palmer. Delap's kind of back fit again. The forward line's not really been firing. I mean, our top scorer in all comps, I think Esteval has got 4, and so's Caicedo and Enzo. Like we're not pulling up trees from an attacking perspective, but we're still sort of within the top 3 or 4 scorers in the league, having had no Cole Palmer for most of the season and no no Delap for pretty much the whole season as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've always like Garnacho. I know he's a little bit of a Marmite character, but I think he's always a bit of a live wire. Pedro Neto as well. I'm glad that I think there was a little bit of a settling in period for him last year, wasn't there? But it looks like he's starting to play some of his best football in a Chelsea shirt now as well.
Not been injured at all.
Exactly. At Wolves, we just really struggled to get a fit Pedro Neto, which was frustrating. But the quality was always there. I think we always saw the quality, and as a player that did so well for us, I'm glad that he's doing well for you guys now as well. But I think some of the young lads that you've got as well, I think you mentioned there, Esteval, the quality that you can have coming off the bench as well is frightening. So, I think, Garnacho is always a live wire. He's always going to cause every team problems, I think. And so is Pedro. So I think that pace in behind, it wouldn't surprise me from a Wolves point of view. I think it could be a really boring game because I'd assume we'll have a deep, a low block. And like you said, just try and frustrate Chelsea and, try and keep the goals down. I think that's the main thing for Wolves on Saturday, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do with trying to boost the goal difference a little bit, get a bit of a confidence boosted win, but it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work out like that. Football's strange from that point of view. But I mean, mate, to round out, what are you thinking score wise? I know you said earlier you don't really think any Wolves fans think you can get anything from this game. Football's weird. It's got a weird way of pulling stories out. Do you think you can get something from this?
I don't think so. I mean, I really hope I'm proved wrong and they can turn up and get a result. We just don't know how we're going to start, how we're going to play, what reaction the squad would have had after last week and the sacking of Vitor Pereira. I think, even to be fairly optimistic, it's not even optimistic. I'll probably go over 2-1 Chelsea. I think you guys will probably take the lead, us equalise to give me a little bit of hope, and then you sort of kill the game off and get the winner. But I'd love to be proved wrong. I'd love Wolves to get a result. I think we need a result sooner rather than later, and if we can pick something up before the international break, that'd be a huge morale boost going into the end of November and early December.
No, 100%. I mean, for me, I can't not back a Chelsea win, even though, I've sort of got a few little reservations here and there, just because in the games that we should win, we don't tend to perform very well and we tend to drop points in. And the one that we're not really expected to win, or the ones that we're underdogs in, we kind of turn up. We got a situation where we sort of lower our performance levels to that of the opposition. So hopefully that doesn't happen on Saturday. I'm still going to back us. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, but I expect us to score maybe 2 or 3. So I'll go for a 3-1, but I'll just take any win at this stage, go into the international break, reset, and then, have that big push, into Christmas and the new year once we come back. But, mate, thanks so much for your time, as always. If people don't know where to find you, let them know.
Yeah, we're at Talking Wolves everywhere. So on YouTube, if you want to watch the preview that we're doing with Charlie, and then the reaction and stuff after the game, and then obviously on sort of Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. But yeah, thanks for having me, mate.
No, pleasure, mate. Always good to catch up. Guys, make sure you check it out. We'll be tagged in the title. Go and show Dave and the guys some love. Loads of great content over there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like, subscribe. I will catch you again in another one soon.